Hey everybody, it's 9:15 and I've been on the trail for about 5 minutes, but I came to a signpost. Figured I'd show it to you. Alright, so right now we're 7 miles from the Choco shelter. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but that's where we're aiming for tonight. CR55 is a road that leads, according to my guide, it's called Rabbit Town Road, which seems to remind me of something from a movie or something, I don't know. But anyway, Rabbit Town Road leads into, somebody came through here and plowed dirt for this, I don't know if it's a bike trail or a RV trail or something. And they dumped the dirt for the plow trail in the middle of the peyote trail. Talk about annoying. The hell? Well, that shows at least what some of this trail is supposed to be used for. Those are horse prints. So, somebody carved this trail through the woods for horses. But I don't know if they need to be quite so destructive in the creating of this trail, because they pretty much destroyed a section of the forest to make room for horses. Horses probably could have made their own trail without too much trouble. I mean, deer do it all the time. So, anyway, that does bring up another question. Why do so many animals choose to take a dump on the trail? Because that's straight up annoying. Anyway, I took a screenshot of the trail. It occurred to me that if I turn my phone sideways with the far out app up, then I'll be able to take a longer screenshot of the profile rather than trying to clip together 3 or 4 little short ones. So I've got the whole up and down profile for the 7 miles I'm planning on doing today in one screenshot that I'll be able to share with you. It's 10:40 and I made it to the next road crossing. Of course, the miles on this one don't agree with the miles on the last one, but whatever. The last sign said it was 2 miles to this and 7 from that shelter, or from that sign to the shelter. Now this one's saying it's 5.2, meaning it's only 1.8 to the last. I don't know. Whatever. I'm gonna stop here for a quick break before pushing onwards. I don't know if you can see down there in the water. There's little tiny fish swimming around. It's hard to know where I'm looking at. Right. No, I don't see him. I can't see him on the camera. But I saw him when I walked up here. There was fish swimming around in there. Little tiny ones, maybe an inch long. Oh well. Sorry. Well, there's the trail. Not sure how I'm going to get down. I'm going to have to sit down on here and slide. It's pretty steep, but it's not far, and it's rock, so at least I won't get dirt up my crack. But that's the trail, so no way to bypass it. I mean, I guess I could cross and cross again, but that's a pretty rough bushwhack. Not to mention getting your shoes wet in the river. So there's that rock I had to slide down on my ass. This is a really beautiful section of trail. I'm in this valley between these two rocky I'm in like this canyon. Yeah, that's the word, canyon. I'm following the river. Gotta stop in a minute and have a lunch. And I have a Cliff Bar. I found it somewhere. It was in my in the brain of my pack. So I'm gonna stop and have lunch and get some water along here somewhere. At that road back there where I said I was going to stop and take a break, I decided not to. I just pushed on. But here I am, going to stop and take a break. Filter some water, drink it, filter some more, drink it, then keep hiking with only a little bit in my pocket. I spend the next 2 miles of trail or so walking alongside this river, so I don't need to carry a lot, or any really. Just past that canyon I found a waterfall and a little pool. It's not very deep, but I bet you if it wasn't February I could get my whole body in there on the other side of this log here. It's not super deep, but if it wasn't February, I would definitely jump in there and splash around for a minute. Unfortunately, it's February, so I won't be doing that. There's some stairs here, rock stairs, and up there is a fire pit, and I'm gonna sit down for a few minutes and have this Cliff Bar that I found, and I got some water. I'm gonna filter that, and I'm gonna drink that. I'm getting concerned about my shoe. It's well, it's not great. So, unfortunately, these guys have to last me until I get to Georgia. And by Georgia, I mean the end of the month. They've got to last me the end of the month, or I'll be hiking in my Crocs. Because there's no place short of Atlanta, or, well, technically I want to go to, ideally I'd like to go to Neil's Gap to get new shoes, and then donate these to the shoe tree. But, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to make it. There's no real place before Georgia, though, to buy new shoes. We looked around when we were at Talladega, and I went to several places around Talladega, and I couldn't find any place that sold real boots. Found one place that had like wannabe work boot kind of boots, but nothing that had hiking boots. So, well, if it wasn't so early in the day, this would make a great stopping point. But I've had my break. Time to push on. There's that waterfall and little swimming hole. Not really a swimming hole, more of a dipping hole, but the trail goes this way. And I need to keep pushing miles. It's only noon. Well, I took about a 40-minute break, so it's 12:40 now. Anyway, pushing miles. Well, here's my next stop. Let's go. A stream. There's no way to cross. I mean, there's a little tree over here that I could bounce on, but I'm not good at that. So I'm taking my shoes off. Gonna put my Crocs on, walk across, and then put my shoes back on after I dry my feet. Alright, it's 3 o'clock. I'm 2.2 miles from the shelter. Just stopped and had some water. I gotta get packed up and start hiking again. I should be there before dark, but probably just before dark, so I'll probably be eating in the dark, which is not my favorite, but whatever. I can make it. I can do this. I'll talk to you later. It's 4:15. I have less than a mile to go to the shelter. Not sure exactly how much less than a mile, because I haven't checked far out in a little while. But I'm definitely less than a mile. So, 4:15. Sun's starting to set. It's usually full dark by 5:30. So I gotta push hard to make it to the shelter so I don't have to fiddle with getting water and eating in the dark. The stream I've been following all day turned into a pretty little lake. That must be one of the sources, though. Well, I know there's a water source a tenth of a mile before I get to the shelter that also supplies this lake. But it's a pretty hefty lake. Anyway, I'm 0.4 from the shelter, and it's getting late. Some sort of weird metal box, or maybe a wooden box, coming up here in the... Apparently the trail goes through this field. And there's a little hut in it. Maybe it's a trailer. We'll see when we get there, though. It's not the shelter. Don't know what that is. Oh, there's a like a drainage. I don't know what to call that, but it looks like there's a drain just above whatever this concrete looks like. Concrete thing is. It's 5 o'clock. I have a very short amount of time before it gets dark, so I'm gonna push. I should be like 0.2 from the shelter, I think. The last little bit is through this nice field. I'm a little bit concerned about hunters, because, well, first you got tire treads here, but also this seems like the kind of place the hunter would want to set up. Ooh. So this field per se is more like a dam. And that drain has water coming out over here. Interesting. Well, I guess that must be some sort of dam control then. That would explain it's a bit too permanent looking for a hunter's blind. So, alright. Yeah, look at that. Tire tracks. Somebody can drive right out. He can drive right out here, which isn't what you really want to hear when you're planning on camping in a shelter. But we'll see if we can figure out where the shelter is. I don't know if you can see it, but I can. There is the shelter. I am exhausted. I'm gonna go make dinner and go to sleep. Well, I made it to the shelter. And I already got water. So I made it to the shelter just about maybe 5 after 5 or so. And then I went and got water. Filtering the water now. That mini's just really annoying me. But it is what it is. My feet are sore. So weirdly, this shelter has a plaque from the national forest saying that it can only be used for recreational purposes. And in order to change its purpose, you have to get written permission from somebody. Anyway, I don't know why. I've never seen anything like that at a shelter before. I'll take a picture of it so I can post, so I can picture it. But I'll take a picture of it in the morning if I remember. But it's weird. I guess probably because there's a road that comes in here. The road that accesses grants access to the dam. I'm assuming hunters can use it. Dirt bikers can get in here, and they don't want anybody coming in here and deciding that this makes a good house and turning it into a house and moving in. So that's the only reason I can imagine that they have that. But I gotta start dinner. My water's filtering. I've got this little bottle that I carried all day, even though I didn't need to. I think I drank out of that 3 times maybe, and then I refilled it 2 miles back and carried it again. But it's better to have water and not to need it and not have it. And I learned that the hard way. I mean, I knew that already, but I learned it again when I was doing that nightmarish Stairway to Heaven climb on Cholula Mountain. Anyway, I'm starving. I'm going to make hot dogs and mash again. and then go to sleep. Good morning. It's 7 o'clock. I'm up early this morning. I'm making breakfast. I don't have breakfast, so what I'm doing is just making cooking up the last 2 hot dogs that I have, and gonna mix in some sweet potatoes, sweet potato instant mash. I figured since I'm going into town anyway, I don't want to carry food out in my pack. I'll carry it in my stomach, and then when I get into town, I'll have second breakfast or something, depending on what time I make it to town. It's a mile and a half, 1.4 to the road, plus 100 yards up the trail, 100 feet up to the trail. A little disconcerting. I'm about 3,000 feet from the road that I'm walking a mile and a half to get to, because nobody ever said the trail made sense. But I'll show you a screenshot. But basically, if I was to hike that way, 3,000 feet, I would get to the road. And it's flat, level ground, but I'd have to cross the stream. Alternatively, the trail is back behind the shelter, and it's a mile and a half to the road. I need to teach myself to look at the camera. I'm sorry, I try to look at me talking instead of looking at the camera. So I gotta get better at that. And I'm working on it. So I'm sorry about that. Things I gotta do today. I gotta call Big Agnes about my pad. It went flat. It started leaking 10 days onto the trail, and now I had to wake up 3 times last night. I woke up and had to pump it up, and it was still flat when I woke up at 6. 6:30 is really when I woke up. It took me a few minutes to get. Hey guys, it's 8:15, and it's 8:19, and I am 0.7 from the road. That means I've come to 0.7 already. I don't know, start this early, but I was sitting there in the shelter, and it felt like it got colder while I was sitting there getting ready. My fingertips started to freeze. I couldn't even barely click the buckles on my pack. I had gloves on. I had my gloves on, but my fingers just went completely numb, so I just started hiking. Once I was in the sun, I started feeling better. But anyway, I'm halfway to the road. It's 8:15. I should be able to hopefully have better luck hitchhiking this time than I did last time. Sounds, from what I've heard on the road, sounds kind of busy. So maybe if I can't get a hitch, there's a number that I can call, but there's no cell phone service. And I just dropped my pole. There's no cell phone service at the road, so I'll have to walk down the road a ways to try to get a signal. Well, I'm 0 for 5 so far on hitching. 5 cars, no rides. But I am pretty much where I would come out if I decided to try to bushwhack that half a mile from the shelter to the road. This amount. As we can see down there, there's a house, or at least a mailbox or two. And that's I had several concerns of bushwhack. The first, of course, being that this is Alabama. There's lots of hunters. I don't really want to end up shot. Second, even though I had my map and the far out map and the lines and everything, half a mile bushwhacking through the woods is a good way to get injured. And there is no cell phone service here, because if there was, I would call for a ride. There's a coffee shop called Elevated Grounds in this town called Piedmont. Into this little old and yet new. There's like, that building's clearly brand new, or well, relatively new, and yet there's that old barn out behind it. This must be Rabbit Town. Alright, I'm going to see if there's a cell phone signal here. If there's not enough traffic on this road, I'm not going to get a hitch. Hey guys, I'm in Piedmont, Alabama. I'm at a coffee shop called Elevated Grounds, and I just wanted to show you the condition my boots are in. They're looking pretty rough, and I really have to have them last until I get to Georgia. But here's my boots. So this is my boot number 1. This I've known about for a while. See, we've got pulling up here. This side is basically barely hanging in. If it wasn't for the toe cap, the boot would just be completely falling apart. And then also we have the tread is coming up all across. I don't want to tug on it too much because it's, like I said, it's barely hanging in. I think this is probably going to be the boot that fails first, but this one is by no means out of the woods. It is also coming up. Although clearly not in as bad shape as the other one. The other one is just falling apart as I walk in it. So I don't really have any good options to get new boots until I get to Atlanta. So I've got to make these boots last. I can hike in my Crocs if I have to, but I prefer not to. But it might come down to it. The next section of the trail from where I got off is Duggar Mountain, and I've been told it's a particularly rough section of trail, so I'm going to skip it. Not because I want to, but because I don't want my boots to fall apart. I really need to just try to stay on the gentle stretches of trail. That the hard, rough rock will completely destroy my boots. And this is a little sad because there are a couple caves that I was looking forward to exploring. There's a Blue Blaze Trail that I was going to take. I say Blue Blaze Trail, but it's actually probably not blazed blue because the Pinhoti Trail is blue blazed. So that's always confusing. That terminology there is confusing. But there's a side trail that had a couple cool caves that I wanted to look at. But I just can't risk my boots, so I'm gonna probably skip Duggar Mountain.